All right, well, I started streaming because I panicked.
Hey everybody, welcome to Kingdom of Honor. I'm your host, Zanman Shane Sabuni, along with my good buddy, the Honorable Jeff. And here today we'll talk about the latest happenings in Dynamite and also about NXT's upcoming Stand and Deliver event this week. I know, Jeff. There's also today was also New Japan's Sakura Genesis. I did not get a chance to watch any of it yet, but
Right.
the two match it wasn't a lot on the card. I was interested in watching it, but I definitely wanted to watch the last two matches where the tag titles and I'm sorry, the junior tag titles and also the brand new. I suppose we should talk about this. Brand new World Heavyweight Championship is on the line as well. Have you seen that belt?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God! Google it right now.
IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know that I like it.
No, it looks like the old Divas title.
Yeah. What's with the wings?
I don't know. I mean, I think they have the prettiest title in the history of professional wrestling, and now they have this thing.
Yeah, I love that old just gold belt. This
Right,
is
and they had
awful.
just refinished it at the Madison Square Garden event in 2018 or 2019. So I mean, it wasn't like it was old and needed to be replaced or anything.
Yeah, I don't like this one.
No, I don't either. I mean, maybe it'll grow on us, but it's pretty awful.
At least we have a good, championship match. Do you
Yes,
think they pull the trigger and let Osprey win it?
would not surprise me.
I'd be more than happy with that.
Yeah, I'd be perfectly fine with it.
I didn't realize Hiroshi Tanahashi held the belt 8 times.
Yeah, he had it seven times before he won it from Omega. So
And Okada held it for 720 days. Good
yeah, you don't remember
God.
that?
I knew he held it for over 2 years, but I guess I just didn't realize.
Almost 2 years.
No, more than 2 years. 720 days is more than 2 years, isn't it?
There's 365 days in a year, so 365 times two is 730.
Oh, okay.
So no, he held it for just under 2 years, just like Rob Van Dam held the ECW TV title for just under 2 years. So
So this belt started in 87, and Antonio Inoki was the first title holder. Then it was vacated. Then Fujinami won it. Then it was vacated. Then Fujinami won it again, and it was vacated again. And then Vader won it, and you know, it went from there. Looking up the, oh nope, it was vacated again in '98. Masahiro Chono. Chono got a neck injury, and then Big Scott Norton won it. Oof.
did you speaking of Tatsumi Fujinami, did you see those matches that he had against Ric Flair in 1991?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was some great stuff.
Well, it was Flair, so I knew it would be great.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, would you suck his dick already?
I didn't realize Nakamura has been around this long.
Yeah, Nakamura is considered the greatest Intercontinental Champion in the history of the promotion. So
Yeah, I mean, I
he
understood that.
came up with Tanahashi.
I understand that, but I mean, he held the heavyweight title back in '03 before Tanahashi even sniffed it.
Yeah, wasn't he the one that Brock Lesnar beat for it?
No, well, I don't know. It was vacated in '03, and then Tenzan won it. Trying to find out when Lesnar won it from Kazui Fujita,
Okay, because I know Nakamura faced Lesnar for it. So
and then it was in a three-way with Masahiro Chono, and then title was vacated due to Lesnar refusing to return and defend it. Lesnar kept the physical championship belt and was later recognized by the Inoki Genome Federation as their first champion using the same belt, and then Tanahashi won it for the first time in a tournament after Lesnar refused to fight.
I wish I could find the time to go back and watch the old NJPW stuff. I really like to um be more conversant with their history. You know.
Oh, then Nakamura won it in '08 at Tokyo Dome. I didn't realize Kurt Angle. No, he didn't. Okay, so then Nakamura defeated Kurt Angle on February 17th to unify the NJPW and IGF versions of the IWGP Championship.
Right. I remember. I do remember reading that before. So yeah. So for a while they had two recognized champions. You know, kind of the way that Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels were the two recognized Intercontinental champions. Are kind of like what's coming up at Stand and Deliver. We've got two recognized cruiserweight
Cruiserweight
champions,
champions.
right?
Here's a nice little tidbit, and sorry to kind of go this way, but now that I'm looking it up, do
Yeah,
you
I don't know why you're doing this. Go
did
ahead.
you know that AJ Styles is a two-time champion
Yes,
and he defeated both Okada and Tanahashi?
I knew he defeated Okada. I didn't know. I didn't realize he defeated Tanahashi.
He um he won the belt from Okada on May 3rd of 2014 in Duntaco. Then Tanahashi won it on the 13th from AJ at King of Pro Wrestling, and then he won it back again on February 11th of 2015 at New Beginning.
Ah, okay.
So he beat two of the greatest NJPW champions of all time.
Yeah, he's right. He's the only one in history I think that can say that he beat both those guys for the championship.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
is
pretty impressive.
that is true.
Um, and actually speaking of belts and the cruiserweight title, I don't know if you noticed this on Dynamite, Jeff, but for the second time we had Laredo Kid in the same ring as Kenny Omega, and I think this, and I, you know, it's possible that I'm wrong about this, but I think this is the first time in the history of national American television that we had the AAA world champion in the same in wrestling the AAA cruiserweight champion in you know, like I said in a North American ring for a North American promotion on national TV.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I thought Laredo Kid was no longer the cruiserweight champion.
I thought they both held their titles like for pretty much forever.
I know Laredo Kid held it forever, but I thought he lost it.
Oh, did he? Okay.
I don't know. I'm looking it up. I could have swore he did. But there's a lot of things that I think that aren't true. So he's currently under contract with Lucha Libre AAA while making sporadic
Oh, you're right. Are you
appearances
right?
for
Are you right?
AEW.
He's a former champ. He's a former champion. My mistake.
Okay.
So I guess I was wrong about that. Okay. So, but I know they also faced each other in on a BR Live. So I mean that they did face each other in the United States when they were both still the champions at that time. So, but I guess it wasn't on national, broadcast television. So my bad.
So, and here I go again. Laredo Kid wrestled a tryout match for WWE on April 7th, 2015. He worked unmasked under the ring name Tony Guevara, teaming with Sammy Guevara.
What's WWE?
Good point. Yeah, after their Hall of Fame announcement this week, I don't know.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, this week is going to be, pretty WWE centered because I will be watching the Hall of Fame
I won't.
and at least
Not.
part of it, and I will. I mean, I'm not happy about some of it, but I mean, I watched it every year, so I'm not going to skip it just because of that.
I don't. When I think of WWE Hall of Famer, William Shatner is the last one person that comes to mind. He what made two appearances because I googled it afterwards to find out what made him a Hall of Fame. I mean, if I'm thinking celebrity Hall of Famers, Mr. T, Dennis Rodman, um, eh, maybe even Pete Rose for all of his stuff that he did with Kane, Bob Uecker because of the WrestleMania 3. I don't think William Shatner. And when I looked up, I guess William Shatner had two appearances for WWE. One of them was in '95 against Lawler where he came in and gave Lawler a monkey flip or whatever, um, a hip toss. And then the other one was at their 100th anniversary, 100th show or 1000th show or whatever. He came out and he did his spoken word lyrics to the wrestlers' theme songs. How does that make him Hall of Fame worthy?
It doesn't. But are you really going to boycott the entire ceremony because they're inducting Captain Kirk into the Hall of Fame?
No, I'm already pissed off at WWE for shutting down the WWE network and not transferring shit over to Peacock. So I can't continue watching the Attitude Era because it's gone. I can't watch any of the old AWA stuff, the NWA stuff. It's all gone. All gone.
You're so mad about that the next day after you told me how mad you were, what did you do?
I signed up for Peacock, but the reason that but I did
You
not
signed
sign up
up for
I
Peacock.
did not sign up for Peacock because of WWE. I was looking through what they have to offer and I wanted to there's some old shows I want to watch and some movies and things like that. I didn't do it for WWE.
But do you know who gets money for you doing that for WWE? WWE.
They already got their money. They're not getting any more.
Yeah, but you also like help them endorse their investment by signing up for them. So
Well, whatever. It's $5 a month less, and if they ever go back to the WWE network, they're not getting my money. This was one of the biggest slaps to their fan base I could have ever imagined.
no, it was. I mean, they really did their fans dirty. The you know we've had WWE Network now for 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Yep, and we've had it for just over 7 years, and you know, the loyal fans that have had it for that long. I had it from launch, and then I canceled it a couple of years back or a year back or whatever it was because I was just irritated with them. And but for the fans that have had it for launch, to all of a sudden lose all that content, and be thrown for that way, or people that are doing a watch like you're doing, or who's doing like the Saturday nights, or the years through the WWE, like Miss Fan and Shane are doing, things like that. Have that taken away from you guys, and I mean for all of us, but I mean really for people that are in that boat where they're trying to watch the history, and all of a sudden, oh, it's gone, or they want to watch WrestleMania 6 and they got and oh no, they can't the Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown match because of reasons, or things like that. It's just
Well,
um,
and this is the
it's really
second
really.
time. This is the second time they've done it to us. I was a subscriber of their because both them and Impact before streaming services, they had you'd pay like $10 to their video library on the internet, and you'd go to a special website and you'd watch it on your computer. And I
I
paid.
didn't know. Well, I didn't know you had that.
Oh yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. I had it for both Impact well TNA. I had it for both TNA and I had it for
Oh no,
WWE.
yeah, and you had it for TNA. I didn't know you had it for WWE. Anyway,
Yep.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Um, and then all of a sudden that just shut down because they were going to do the WWE network. And, here I am, launch WWE network. I jump on board and nothing. I mean, it was basically when it started out, it had a couple of WrestleManias and, their live channel, their 24/7 live streaming channel. That was it. So all of that content that I was watching on, the website, gone. And it took them years and years to get that content back up. And then, now they're bragging about they've got the most massive video library, wrestling history, and all this stuff. And now it's all gone again.
Hmm.
So it's just that's the second time now they've done that to me, and I'm done investing in WWE.
I don't blame you.
Done,
I,
done.
I don't blame you at all. I mean, it really is shitty what they did, and they could at least have warned people. This transition to Peacock is not going to be as smooth as we're saying. It's not going to be smooth. There's going to be things that are missing. You know, maybe they even could have had like fan votes, like we can't have everything up here, but what would you like to see, that we have up here, and giving people a choice of at least giving their quote unquote universe a choice of what they wanted up there at launch, instead of just deciding what they wanted up there.
Or how about this? How about you continue the WWE network at a reduced cost? You take all the new stuff that, as you're putting stuff on Peacock, you eliminate it from the WWE network for American viewers instead of just shutting it off.
Yeah, I don't know how contracts work that way, but yeah, that'd be a good idea too. But yeah, I mean, My understanding is that they got like sporadic pay-per-views up there, but they also have like, but for sure they have like the ones over the last 12 months. Well, probably a lot of people have watched the ones of the last 12 months. They probably would want to see more stuff that's older. That was always the value of the WWE Network to me, is I could go back and watch the old WCW pay-per-views or the old ECW pay-per-views, things like that. It wasn't being, and of course, the most recent stuff, like being able to watch the pay-per-views live. It wasn't like being able to go back 6 months and watch pay-per-view from 6 months ago.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
which I really don't care that much about.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. To me, the value was always in the historical information, the archive, like you were talking about, not in being able to go back, 3 or 4 months and watch that pay-per-view.
I mean, what they have up there now, of course, they've got all the WrestleManias up. I mean, that's a no-brainer. They have Monday Night Raws back to, I want to say, like 2008. They've got SmackDowns back to about the same time period. They've got NXT's back for a couple of years. But they made sure to get their Talking Smack show on there. They've got some, and then of course they've got a couple of their other stuff, but it's mainly documentaries and things like that. And, I would have rather seen the at least the pay-per-views all the pay-per-views all the way back, instead of having the bump or um, timeline with Miz and Daniel Bryan, or you know maybe some of that stuff didn't need to be on there, and they could have put the other stuff that we actually want to see on there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they did this like way too fast. If the intention was that, because what it sounds like is that NBC is like going through all the content and seeing that if there's stuff that they want to cut out of there, and if that was the intention all along, then this should have been over a longer period of time, where it shouldn't have been, we're announcing this in February, it's happening the end of March. It should have been, maybe 6 months down the road, where giving NBC time to get that stuff off there, and then loading it all at once onto the Peacock.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they should, like I said, even if it was a reduced premium to continue watching old stuff while their transfer is happening over the next year. You know,
I really don't like Peacock's interface anyway. I've got it. There's stuff on there I enjoy watching, but I really don't like their interface.
it's also now I'm back to, I used to be able to watch WWE Network on my TV. Now because Amazon Fire Stick doesn't have a Peacock remote, I'm back to watching it on my phone.
Oh,
So that,
there's not a Peacock app for Amazon.
nope, nope.
Weird.
So now here I am again, back to watching the app on my phone, which, I don't mind when my kid's here, but there's times I want to, like, if I want to watch Stand and Deliver Night 2, I want to watch it on my big TV. I don't want to sit and watch it on my 3-inch phone.
You can buy a Peacock. You could always buy a Roku though.
Yeah, no, it's not happening.
Why?
Because
That's not an answer.
it's just not happening. I'm not going to
They cost
buy,
like 30. They cost like $30, and they're a much better streaming device than the Amazon one is.
I
So
like my Fire Sticks.
okay.
And I'm not going to spend more money just to watch something from the WWE.
No, you didn't get Peacock for WWE. You got it for the other stuff on there. So
Well, but I'm saying if I wanted to watch Stand and Deliver, I mean, watching a half-hour comedy, I don't mind on my phone. But if I wanted to watch Stand and Deliver, I'd like to watch it on my TV, not on my phone. Like, I really kind of do want to watch the Adam Cole match.
okay. Well, I mean, you're dead set on your Fire Stick, and I understand that. But the Fire Stick for me was always the ones I've had have all been pieces of crap.
Yeah, see,
So
mine are great. I've never had issues with any of them, and I mean, every now and then I'll upgrade them because new features and things. Like now they run my TV too, so I don't even need a TV remote anymore.
oh really?
Yeah, and you just push a button and you can talk to it, and it'll find what you're looking for. Within apps. I love it. I love it. Like I can push a button on my remote and say Netflix, and it'll bring up Netflix.
No, I'm kind of going through Peacock as we're talking, like looking to see what's on the WWE version, on the WWE channel. It's on Peacock, and I don't know about you, but I mean, instead of having like an ECW show like Hardcore Heaven, I would much rather have the show called Heaven. That's about a kid named Heaven Fitch that fell in love watching with wrestling, watching their brothers wrestle, and that's a 22-minute documentary about that. Is that something that I'm ever gonna want to watch on there? No,
No.
not ever.
But that's,
So
that's what I'm saying is why did they pick certain things and just screw everything else?
yeah, I
Like
don't know.
there's certain ECW, like, we were doing those retro shows too. Our ECW, that's just trash now. We're not going to be able to go back and finish that ECW series. I don't know if we ever would have, eventually, but we can't go back and do it now. It's all gone.
Okay, now this one thing says ECW Classics. The third one in is WrestleMania season 23, episode 1. So how does that have anything to do with ECW? So
Oh,
stupid.
hey, they have the Battlestar Galactica reboot. Maybe I'll watch that. I enjoyed that a lot.
It's excellent.
Yeah, I loved it. It was one of my favorite, and I believe is that one that Crowley's in? I know Edward James
I
Olmos is
I don't
there.
remember.
Watch that. I'm going through some of the other stuff on here on the Peacock Network. There's a lot of stuff on here, and that was the main reason. Plus, I get live sports too. So
Did you see that Chris Jericho's going to be on Broken Skull Sessions?
yeah, I saw that.
That's interesting.
It really is because I'm surprised they signed off on that to allow him to be on. I know it's Stone Cold's thing, but being on the WWE Network, I'm surprised they signed off on it.
Yeah, me too.
But lately they've done in the last 2 months, they've made multiple references to AEW people on Raw. I know um, Paul Heyman went off on Edge and brought up Christian, and then when Brian Daniel Bryan and Cesaro were talking to Kevin Owens about turning on people. They brought up a guy, they couldn't remember his name. They wish they had a list, referencing Chris Jericho.
Hmm. Okay.
So I don't know. But before we get into the uh, preview here, you did said you watched Dynamite. What did you think of that whole Inner Circle Pinnacle thing?
That was pretty brutal.
I loved it. That was great, and it kind of solidified. When they attack MJF, Inner Circle now solid faces.
No,
You don't think so?
no. They're never going to be faces to me ever.
To you, but I'm talking about to everyone else in the world.
Why? What did they do that? What did they do that was babyface? Like none of that was babyface. None of it.
Yeah, but they were
It was all heel bullshit.
they were beating up the bad guys, super bad guys, and
So
you even said it months ago that Jericho was already being cheered like a face.
well, he's been treated like a face ever since he started there. They've done that stupid theme song.
Right.
I mean, no, I mean to me it's still two bad guy factions facing off against each other. I don't know what the inner circle has ever done to be cheered, and I don't get why there's that. I mean, it's I mean because Chris Jericho is always going to be Chris Jericho, but I mean I don't understand what the rest of them have done to be seen as baby faces.
That's true. But we've seen it in wrestling in the past. The baby face becomes a baby face because he gets attacked by a heel, not because he's done anything good, just because he got attacked by a heel.
Right, and for that scenario, what I'm saying is like going forward, if they keep acting the way that they are, they're not really going to be baby faces.
No, I mean yeah, and I agree with that. I mean if they keep being the inner circle they've been, I'm just saying with the way that they were cheered, the fact that it was such a brutal beatdown on the Pinnacle, and they've always been kind of that teetering. Their promos, yes, they've been dicks, but they've also their promos have teetered on that comedy, which has made people enjoy them.
Who?
People, I'm not necessarily saying you, but they've had their comedy moments with Jake Hagar and Sammy and all that stuff that people have enjoyed them.
I don't see why.
Yeah.
I had high hopes for them when they started, and they've gone downhill and downhill and downhill over the ever since. They're, I thought it was a great beatdown. I thought it was good moments. I mean, they're, and I do like Sammy, and I do like, I've always liked PNP, but I mean, and but I don't know. They're, to me, as a stable, they're never somebody that I'm going to um, cheer, that I can see ever happening. And I just and they've bored me too much over the last 7 or 8 months to really care.
Yeah, that MJF angle was really rough.
Yeah, it was.
It burned out quick. It was the same thing over and over again. And then, one thing that I keep flashing back to is, remember when Sammy stormed out of the room, Jericho chased him, he closed the doors and said to PNP and Hagar, guys, we got to talk.
Hmm.
Um, what was that talk about? That was never brought. If it wasn't him trying to take over leadership of the inner circle, then what was the reason for that talk? I just, that it's one of those things that's kind of stuck with me going, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, that's one thing with AEW is they do have this stop start storytelling, um, where things just get dropped and they don't make any sense and we never hear about them again.
I actually enjoyed the stuff with QT Marshall and his new stable of students,
Right.
beating down Cody and the rest of the Nightmare family more than I enjoyed that.
Yeah, but they where do they go? Are they going to be a dark evolution or whatever, the elevation, whatever the hell it is?
I have
Because
no idea.
it's not a faction that's going to be. It, it really did nothing for QT Marshall.
You
He
don't think so?
oh yeah, he looked like an asshole, but he aligned himself with students who aren't ready for TV yet.
Yeah, I wish that had been somebody. I wish one of the more established people had been part of it as well.
Even if it had been Lee Johnson,
No, Lee wouldn't have made any sense because that's this whole thing started because Lee mentioned every single other person of the
except
Nightmare
QT
family
Marshall.
except for QT Marshall when he was thanking people.
But I'm just saying, even somebody, not necessarily big name, had it been somebody like a Lee Johnson.
Even if even if it was Billy Gunn, I would have cared.
Right. I mean, the fact that it was his, some students that aren't even ready for, supposedly the way they were talking him up is they're training right now. They're not even ready for wrestling matches. So him aligning himself with his wrestling students just didn't, it doesn't make me care anymore about him. I thought they did a good job last week of giving us a reason why he's acting the way he is, of setting up the match, setting up the turn. You knew the turn was coming as soon as they set up the match. But I just think the execution was not done well enough to make me care more about QT Marshall.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, and I did think he played his role that extremely well. Like he was like kind of like looking like what's going on, and they started directing traffic. It's like, yeah, you should like turn around with like a sadistic smile on your face.
Right.
You know.
Not acted like he didn't know what was happening.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that this whole thing is like, I wanted to get out of the shadow. I wanted to stop being Cody's friend, but honestly, from the acting chop he showed, if he wasn't Cody's friend, he wouldn't be getting this opportunity.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. It just I thought felt like they were doing a good job last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever, setting it up so that I was actually going to start caring about QT Marshall, and then when he aligned himself with his students and made himself irrelevant again, I just didn't care.
Well, I mean, we can't say he made himself irrelevant again because it's all about the follow up. If there's more to come here and his students are shining, then that's going to matter.
Right.
You know, just because it doesn't matter this exact moment doesn't mean it's not going to matter.
That's true. It's just going to take a
Uh,
lot for me to care. I guess that's where I'm going with it.
Let me ask you something.
Sure.
If if you were, and I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the rest of the segment, okay, but if you were sitting in a vehicle, for instance, and somebody pointed at you and started running at your vehicle, would you be sitting there looking scared, or would you remember that you have the keys and maybe start the vehicle and start either moving backwards or forwards?
Yeah, I'd start the car and just leave.
Yeah, that was really dumb. That was a really dumb part of Dynamite. It's like, um, I don't know what Miro was going to do to Sue. Well, maybe Sue should have turned on the car and backed
And
away in the
just
van.
left. And just left. It
It's not,
was,
it's not like he was Godzilla, right? Or he was King Kong, where he was like where he was like, one step away and he was going to stomp the van, you know.
it was my second worst vehicle segment in Dynamite history. My least favorite vehicle segment was when Cody was, coming after Lance Archer and he took off really, really fast to go 3 feet and stop before the barricade.
Right.
That was the worst vehicle segment. This is right up there.
Were you saying they're saying the same thing I was doing, saying like,
Yeah, it's like start the
when,
car, lady. Drive.
yeah,
Just drive.
yeah.
What are you doing?
Either run him over or back away. Don't
One or
just
the other. Don't just sit there and wait for him to come running to you.
just petrified.
Yeah, I mean, it was Judy Bagwell level of acting.
Yeah, that was just awful. But I did really enjoy that match, though. I thought the match was really good.
It
Uh,
was funner than I was expecting.
yeah, it was.
And I hope this is an end to it. I love the the return of Chris Statlander, even though it really didn't make much sense. Was Penelope Ford the one that injured her?
She was, and she was also the one that took her spot in the match against Hikaru Shida as
Okay,
well.
all right, okay, that makes sense then, because I couldn't remember why the hell she would appear there and attack Penelope Ford. Although it's great to see her back.
And for her to appear out of the Space Invaders game was pretty awesome as
Yeah, it
well.
was. Definitely was. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
was pleasantly surprised with that match. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, but I hope this is it for Miro being a sidekick. Just let him go be a monster.
Yep. And I think it's the end for that feud, but I think it's the only thing that's going to come out of this is rekindling of the Penelope Ford versus Chris Statler rivalry. I do think this is the end for the quote unquote Charles and Orange Cassidy versus Miro and Kip Sabian.
Are they gonna? I mean,
We've already seen fiction between Kip Sabian and Miro, so maybe eventually, maybe sooner than later we'll get those two split against each other.
do you think this is the end, with Trent getting his, comeuppance, or is there going to be a match between best friends and these guys one more time for a blow off?
I don't think so. I think this was the blow off. How
I
do you how
hope
do you
this was the blow off.
how do you have another match? How do you have not? How does this match not be the blow off?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to think if they're going to be doing something stupid like that,
I wouldn't think so. I mean, when Best Friends had that feud against PNP, they finished it off in that parking lot brawl, right?
which was another fantastic match.
Right. And that was the blow off there too with the surprise appearance of Cassie and all that stuff. So I mean I do think this was the blow off for that feud. I
Good.
really do.
I hope so.
If you have to end sometime, they should end in big moments like this, right?
Well, I mean, that's, the whole reason why War Games was invented was for that big blow off match. That you have your gimmick matches as the big blow off.
Right. Exactly.
That's the way it should be.
Agreed. So
So yeah, hopefully this is the end and they can move on and Miro can be the monster he needs to be.
it does really bug me that they have not moved on from Moxley versus Omega yet, though.
Yeah, I will agree.
I don't know what those two have to do to each other for them to move away from each other.
But I mean, the only thing is that you can't really, I mean, Omega's the champion and you can't really see Moxley as a mid-carder. So I
Well,
get
he's got to be. He can't always be the champion.
exactly. He can't always be in the main event spot, but I'm just saying that, I don't know if they're just trying to keep him involved somehow in the main event and that's their way of doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. Possibly, but I mean, they really need to have some kind of an intense rivalry going on with him. It's against somebody else besides Omega.
Yeah, it's got to like I would have loved to have seen him against Lance Archer.
Yeah, but looks like they're setting up Lance Archer versus Sting though.
Right. But I'm just saying, if he needed to have something to do, him against Lance Archer would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been.
Instead of having him constantly, sticking his nose in Omega's business, let Omega go do something else. Let Moxley go feud with somebody else. Then you got two high-profile things going on as opposed to just one.
Right. I mean, and maybe they're setting up for some kind of a like a big six-man tag between those two factions, and then then that'll blow it off or something. But I really I when you've already had an exploding barbed wire death match against each other,
With
it seems
sparklers.
it seems odd to have that feud keep going on.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's becoming more so about the Bucks versus Omega, and I heard rumors that they're looking at you know, a six-man tag between the Good Brothers and Omega and Moxley and the Bucks. But I don't know. It,
Yeah, and maybe we'll end up getting the Bucks versus Moxley and um, Eddie Kingston too.
yeah. The other thing too, now that we bring that up, it seemed like they were trying to get us to a Page versus Omega feud. That's what it felt like the first 2 years of this company was rolling its bones on. And
Hmm.
now Page is just gone. He's doing his Dark Order thing. Omega, they don't even cross paths, nothing. So did they just decide that Page being a drunk and feuding with Omega is no longer a good thing? This is what I'm talking about, drop storylines. I mean, they invested almost 2 years into that story.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to intersect again, but you would think they have to.
Well, you would think that they would even, I mean, they're keeping the Moxley thing alive. Maybe every other week, have Page in there somewhere, kind of, just reminding us that these two were gonna have this huge blow off feud, and they never did.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with Paige. That's one of my frustrations with this company is like what are they doing with Adam Page all the time?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
because he seems like the one guy that was a major star, that was the major star for them in the first for their first pay-per-view, and moving forward that he's gets lost in the shuffle quite a bit. You know.
I mean, I get it.
I mean, I
After he
mean, I mean,
lost,
I mean, I mean, Cody's always front and center. The Bucks are always front and center. Omega's always front and center. Jericho's always front and center. Pac is front and center when he's around, but it seems like Page is they've never really got Page on the front burner.
yeah, and I mean, I kind of got how he, ended going back after his loss to Jericho. He had to build himself up again. His tag team with Omega was great. All the teasing, all the I don't want to be a part of the elite anymore, all this crap was a really good story that they took their time on, and then it just went away. Just gone.
Hmm.
Kenny turns heel. He wins the title. Page is now being recruited by the Dark Order.
I mean, it's better than Page, facing off against Omega and losing to him again, I guess. But um, they still need to keep him in the spotlight more than just having him have like a 7-minute match against Matt Hardy.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, he, like you said, he's one of those people that just, it's another one of those things where it's just another storyline that just disappeared, just went away, no explanation, just gone. And the length,
And it's something that I don't think would have happened if they had not developed these new shows either. Like if they were actually writing only one show, they'd have to look at that and go, oh wait, what are we doing with Paige this week?
right.
You know.
Instead, they're concerned about what they're going to do with QT Marshall and his students on Dark Elevation.
Right.
or whoever and whatever on this other. They're spread too thin. They need to, if they're going to do this, they need to, maybe Tony Khan needs to step back from being the head booker on all of it, just be the head booker and oversee everything and have different writers for each show. But
Yeah, and even if like if you look at Ethan Page and
Scorpio Sky,
Scorpio Sky, like they're forming a team with each other, and they're like, we're gonna get you guys an Elevation. Well, why? It's not national TV. Why would you want to go wrestle people on Elevation? You know.
well, yeah, and like we mentioned that Ethan Page came out, had a match. He introduced himself to the world, got screwed up because of audio issues, but then we never see him again. Oh, that's because he's on Dark Elevation now.
Hmm.
You didn't build him up enough. Same thing with Scorpio Sky for that matter. I mean, Scorpio Sky had a great match against Darby. He had a couple of weeks before that Face of the Revolution, whatever, ladder match. Um, and now he's back on. You're not building these guys up enough to make me care about them enough to go and watch Elevation. Like, I'm not going to go and watch Elevation just because Ethan Page had one match and him and Scorpio Sky cut a promo on Dynamite. I'm not going to go watch Elevation to see those two because of that. Show me something more.
Speaking of the TV title, I'm excited that JD Drake is now in AEW, it's going to be fun to see him face off against Darby Allin next week.
JD Drake, why am I not remembering him?
He was the former Evolve champion,
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.
the blue collar badass.
Yep, okay.
I'm a big fan of that guy. I'm not sure that I like him being in a heel stable right now, but I'm glad he's actually getting a job on national TV.
Well, he was the one that when we watched it against Austin Theory, right?
Yep,
Where
yep,
we were out down on Austin for bringing up his kids.
exactly.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah, he's I like him. I like him a lot.
me too. Well, we're almost an hour into the show now. We haven't not talked about Stand and Deliver yet, so maybe we should at least try to do that quickly. So,
Probably a good idea. The,
because you decided to run down like every single NJPW champion in the history of the promotion.
well, that happens. Uh,
To you.
um, the two matches I'm really, really looking forward to. Well, okay, I'm looking forward to seeing Karrion Kross. And this is not necessarily against Finn Balor. Um, I, I I'm not a big fan of the story that they're telling of, one guy's going to hit him so hard he's going to see stars, but the other guy's just going to run around circles till he wears Karrion Kross. I'm not a fan of that. Um, the Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, I'm a huge fan of. I just wish that they were the main event of one of the nights, not a semi-main event. Like the feud between these two um, should have been headlining a takeover, not a second rung of a takeover. And then I re
Especially since every other unsanctioned match that they've had has closed out a show.
exactly. And then the other thing that I'm really looking forward to is I really want to see LA Knight against Johnny Gargano. I think that
That's
would
not
be
going to happen.
I hope it does. I hope he
It's
wins
not
that
going to happen.
gauntlet. Who else in that gauntlet match do you think is going to come out and win that?
Well, the feud they've been building for the last couple of months has
It,
been Gargano taking on the silencer guy.
oh, I
So
forgot he was in there. God, I
he's
hope that's not
so
it.
he's the one that's going to win,
I hope he doesn't. I'm just
but he will.
I know, but I'm just drooling at the prospect of possibly seeing LA Knight and Johnny Gargano
It's
in a
not going to happen.
takeover.
Dexter Loomis is winning that match.
God, I hope not.
Jeff, you know that's what's going to happen.
Oh no, but I,
Yeah. Uh,
the
I think this is okay. So what is the main event of night one?
sh Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will say after this Dynamite, I kind of want to see it, because watching Io Shirai attack her, try to sneak attack her 3 times and get beat down 3 times was fun.
Hmm.
The fact that she stood in the center of the ring screaming in Japanese, um, to close out the show wasn't maybe the best move ever. Um,
Why not?
because I don't know Japanese.
Well, yeah.
You know, it's you're it's a,
But
mm,
you would kind of go down to your base language when you were that crazed and that angry and that beat down and hurt too.
I get it. I understand that, but it just it wasn't the to me it wasn't the best way to continue that because I just sat there trying to figure out what the hell she was saying more so than maybe a translator like if we had Chris from NJPW to translate it, it would have been better.
I don't know. I thought it was fine the way that it was, but yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to that match. I'm just not looking forward to seeing Raquel Gonzalez walk away with the championship.
No, I agree. But I don't.
Um,
I also don't know that I would have rather had Cole versus O'Reilly at that main event spot than this one.
um, I find that I that's a hard thing for me to argue because I think Shirai has done enough work over the last year that she deserves a shot at main eventing a takeover, and even if it's only night one of a takeover.
So then, hold off Cole versus O'Reilly for another takeover. The next takeover. Let this continue to burn for another month or two.
Well, we don't know that they're not going to be main eventing night two though.
Yeah, that's true, but
It's a co-main event, so
no,
it would make sense, and it would make sense to close with the unsanctioned match.
yeah, it would.
But I thought they did a great job building it up. Not building it up necessarily, but having that. Um, well, first of all, they've done a great job over the last couple of months building up this feud. But secondly, I think other than the first night, the first takeover, or sorry, the first NXT after the takeover, where Cole turned on O'Reilly with that best feature of the Riley saying, he waited 3 days to come talk to him, or try to get his reasoning. And other than that, I think that they don't think they've messed up with this feud at all.
I well,
And I really liked the way that they had that package building it, to hype it this for this coming week.
I like Kyle O'Reilly's reason for his animosity. I just we never saw any bit of it before he was saying. I mean, like there was no dissension between him and Cole until Cole kicked Finn Balor in the face. And the way that O'Reilly has been building this up, where you know, he was sick of, everybody in the locker room hating him and hating them, and he wanted to, make things right and grew. There was no animosity between the two. I would have rather seen them kind of be at odds a little bit more leading up to the kick in the face if this was where they were going, because it sounds like Kyle O'Reilly grew up 6 months ago, but Adam Cole didn't.
Yeah.
So a little more animosity between the two, maybe just not being on the same page, maybe, a standoff here and there, just something building up to it would have been nice to see instead of the surprise just kick in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's been little things along the way that I picked up on, watching it more than you had over the last few months. Especially that like the scene I've referenced you a couple of times where um, Velveteen Dream was saying, was talking about how it's pretty clear that now Kyle O'Reilly wears the pants in the Undisputed Era or something like that,
Oh, yeah.
and Cole was like, there are no leaders in the Undisputed Era. And but just kind of look on his face was just like complete disgust, you know.
Yeah, that
But
contradicts everything that he said since then too about not being leaders.
yeah, it does. I'm also really looking forward to Walter versus Ciampa.
Oh yeah,
That
absolutely.
that's gonna be a great fight, you
hmm
know.
And Ciampa's the first person since Pete Dunne where I can look at him and go, okay, he's got the ability to beat him, to beat Walter.
Yeah, I mean, I thought what was what's that guy's name?
Joe
The
Coffey,
No, not yeah. Well, I mean, Coffee had a great battle against him too, but Mustache Mountain guy. I'm trying to think of his name.
oh, Tyler Bate.
Yeah, Tyler Bate had he had a fantastic match against him too.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, he did. But
Yeah, I mean, Walter's had some great matches against a wide variety of opponents, really.
Well, and whoever that little Russian guy was,
Yeah, you liked that a lot more than I did.
it was brutality at its best. I mean, that was brutal. I felt so bad for that dude, whoever he was.
Yeah, and then I'm looking at this NXT Tag Team Championship match, and I'm still dreading the possibility of Legado del Fantasma being the tag team champions. God, that's gonna piss me off.
Yeah. What else? So I don't know. I'm really hoping Eli Drake, LA Knight, wins that, but you're probably right. Dexter Loomis will probably win it, which annoys me because we've already seen Gargano versus Dexter Loomis. It was on a regular
Uh,
NXT. Ta
yeah, we did.
so I don't need to see it again. If they got nothing for Austin Theory to do, have him have his battle against Dexter Loomis. I mean, Loomis is Theory is who Loomis kidnapped to begin with,
Right.
so why not have Theory against him?
They did not. They don't have on here the match that they added on Wednesday though. On this list that I'm looking at,
What did they add on Wednesday? The Kushida
Kushida versus
versus
Pete Dunne.
yeah, that's actually going to be a fun match too.
It is. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm really looking forward to this show.
Yeah, I'm.
There's not a match on here that I can say that I'm. Well, I mean, the six man gauntlet is kind of stupid. I'd rather they did not have that on night one, and we're saving some time on that show. I mean, unless they're doing I mean, are they doing a full 3 hours on USA that night?
I don't know. I thought they were. It was just going to be a um, regular show on Wednesday night,
I thought so too
or
because
and then
that's really jam packed. Because you've got Shirai versus Gonzalez, you've got Walter versus Champa,
is that
you got the three way for the tag titles, you've got Dunn versus Kushida, and then you've got the six man gauntlet.
God? That's a 3 hour show.
I know that's what I'm saying. That's
Something's going to get robbed of time.
yeah, and I really don't want it to be Walter versus Champa.
And when you think about it, there's four matches that could easily headline a takeover.
Hmm.
Walter versus Champa, uh, Cole versus O'Reilly, um, Balor versus Kross, and Shirai versus Gonzalez.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
The
four matches that I could easily watch a takeover for that match alone.
I don't remember the last time I was excited for WrestleMania as I am for this coming takeover. I mean, even when I was watching regularly, I mean, maybe it was just. You think maybe WrestleMania 24 would have been the last time we had a WrestleMania that was this kind of quality,
The last
top
time
to
I
bottom?
was excited for WrestleMania would have been 17.
Okay,
That I
not
was
19.
truly that I was truly this excited for. No, because by 19 I'd already seen The Rock Austin enough.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair.
that it wasn't that like, oh God, I got to see this match. I mean, The Rock Austin, that was their first WrestleMania match was 17. And they were
No, it
also,
was no 15.
was it 15?
Yeah.
What the hell was it about 17 that I loved so much, that I was looking so much forward to? I remember it was the first pay-per-view I had
Well,
actually purchased live.
they were cemented as superstars by the time 17 came over.
Yeah, the 15 was their Intercontinental title match, wasn't it?
No, 15 they wrestled in the main event for the championship. Rock had won it in that tournament, and
Okay, you're
Austin
right.
beat him for it. But by the time 17 rolled around, they were both like worldwide megastars, and they were battling for it was like that was one where Austin was like, I need this more than you can ever imagine, Rock.
Okay, Jericho versus Regal. Um, Kurt Angle versus Benoit. I'm trying to just kind of go through here and see what it was that. Oh, the TLC match. Edge and
Yep,
Christian, Dudley Boys, and the Hardy Boys. That's what I was fired up about the most.
gotcha.
And then, of course, Austin versus The Rock. But this is probably the last time that I would say is maybe the last time I was really fired up for WrestleMania, and before then was probably WrestleMania 4 with that tournament to crown the new champion and Savage coming out on top.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I kind of like think back to. I was really excited for WrestleMania 24 as well, but it was mostly for the it was like the for the Money in the Bank match. It was for um, Michaels versus Flair in the retirement match. It was for the triple threat with Orton versus Cena versus Triple H, and then Taker versus Edge. So. But yeah, I mean, as far as top to bottom, I don't know when the last time I was this excited for WrestleMania was.
No, I can't think of any time top to bottom. Maybe when I was a kid, like WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4.
Yeah.
That might have been the only time top to bottom I was ever super excited about a WrestleMania. Because, I mean, if you think about it, even WrestleMania 3, it started to become more celebrity based and um, gimmick matches and all this other crap that really took away from the event.
Yeah, I mean, and then like for personal reasons, like WrestleMania 8 was the first one I ever actually got to watch live on pay-per-view. and then uh and then WrestleMania 25 was the one I went to live. So I mean those two obviously for I was super excited
Did you
for.
say it was WrestleMania 24 you were excited for?
Yeah.
Really? Top to bottom?
No, I'm not saying talked about it was in like the last few matches on the card. Like I was really like hyped for the triple threat match. I was really hyped for Big Show versus Mayweather. I was really hyped for Taker versus Edge and for Flair versus Michaels.
I mean, okay, so Orton, Cena, Triple H, the triple threat, Undertaker, Edge, Shawn Michaels, Flair, and then the Money in the Bank where CM Punk won. Looking at the rest of this card, though, it seems like it was done in 1997. Uh, JBL versus Finley, Batista versus Umaga, Floyd Money Mayweather versus Big Show, Kane versus Chavo. So I mean, there's a lot of crap on here too.
No, there is for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I remember like I was super excited for WrestleMania 20 as well, just because Chris Benoit was in the main event. But you
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah. And I was watching something on What Culture, and I know we're up against it here, but they were talking about people that got kicked out of main event spots or kicked out of WrestleMania matches. I didn't realize that original McMahon in every corner WrestleMania was it WrestleMania 2000
yeah.
that it was supposed to be Jericho instead of the Big Show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that that was kind of
Why wasn't it then?
because Vince thought he was too small.
Okay.
And that was that the year before? No, that was 2 years. Yeah, that was the year before he won the titles at Vengeance and unified the titles. But yeah, it was originally supposed to be a McMahon in every corner, and Jericho was supposed to be in Big Show's spot,
Oh,
and
interesting.
he got removed from it at the last minute because Vince thought he was too small. And then there was another one that kind of shocked me too. And it shocked me for the wrong reason. I mean, it was a match where somebody got pulled out of and Shawn Michaels got thrown in. And he was, like, oh, Triple H, where Triple H was injured. He ripped his quad. So Shawn Michaels ended up subbing for him and ended up putting on like a five-star match, which, solidified his spot as Mr. WrestleMania. And when he was talking about it, he was talking about the fact that this is Simon Miller. He ran down all these lists of matches, great matches that Shawn did at WrestleMania, and the one that he left off there was Flair versus Shawn for the retirement match.
Hmm.
And to me, that's one of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time.
Yeah, but you're also like a huge Ric Flair fan too.
Right, but I mean, it's when you look at the WrestleMania matches that Shawn had. I mean, obviously his Undertaker series, uh, his feud against Jericho, and then Flair versus um, Sean are the four that come to my mind.
Really, the Michaels versus Angle one doesn't? That's like almost a perfect match.
When was that? I might not have ever seen it.
What?
I mean, I don't believe I've ever seen it.
21 probably.
Yeah, there was a time there where I was not watching wrestling, like at all. Michaels versus Angle. Oh, hey, guess what I'm going to be watching tonight?
Well, WrestleMania 21.
Yeah. Well, if I could find it, I don't know if it's on Peacock.
that's a that's an excellent. No, you said no. Every WrestleMania ever is on there,
Oh,
so
okay.
you'll be able to. So that you'll be able to see.
WrestleMania 21 happened in, yeah, 2005. I wasn't watching wrestling at that time, so that's why I never saw it.
Oh, okay.
I was out completely on wrestling at that time.
Is that was I did the right year? Yeah, I did have the right year. Okay.
Yeah, April 3rd, 2005.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and of course, you have to stay tuned for that. Right after that match, you got the sumo match with Akabano versus the Big Show as well.
oh, good sweet Jesus. Let's see who's on here. Booker T won a battle royal. Hey, Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero is as
Yeah.
good as their '98 Halloween Havoc was.
I don't think it's quite as good. No.
Edge defeated. Okay, we had Money in the Bank. Taker versus Orton would be fun.
Yeah, that's actually the very first Money in the Bank match.
Angle versus Shawn Michaels. Cena versus JBL. I don't. Well, that was back when he was his rapper gimmick, wasn't it? When he first won the belt.
Yep.
And then Batista versus Triple H. Oh, Jesus. Why did I never watch this?
I don't know. And Batista versus Triple H. A lot of people hate. I think it's a four. I think it's a 5-star match. A lot of people think it's dumb. I think it's slow and plotting and sucks. So it's really kind of that'd be interesting to see what your take is on that one.
Well, I
So,
guess I'll be watching is Rene Dupree. Holy crap. Oh, Orlando Jordan was in this too. In the tournament for to crown the new #1 contender.
oh, okay.
Cena versus Angle wouldn't be a bad match to watch either. The Monday night before. Hopefully it's on Peacock. Jesus fuck.
All right. So anyway, anything else for this week?
No, that's all I've got. Guys, I'm going to be moving some of our Patreon stuff over to YouTube. Stay tuned because it will be uploaded on our Kingdom of Honor channel. If you are listening, please, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and keep an eye out for those shows to be uploaded to YouTube soon, including our, um, you know, pop culture series. We talk about Jessica Jones, we talk about comic books, we talk about music, we talk about everything. We've got the Desert Island series where we discuss, the careers of people like Rob Van Dam, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and a few others. And then, of course, our breakdowns of some retro pay-per-views. We did starting with the Sinclair of Honor. You called it the Sinclair era of Ring of Honor, and of course the ECW early shows. So keep a lookout for that stuff. That'll be appearing on YouTube soon.
We need to start going back to that again too.
Yeah, I think the ECW one's going to be difficult to do now. Thank you, WWE. Um,
Yeah, but I was talking about the Sinclair of Honor ones
yeah,
specifically.
I mean, we were really enjoying that, especially Roddy during that time, and I really was looking forward to getting more into Kevin Owens and Scum and stuff like that. So
Yeah, maybe after this week, we're not going to have like any big events after this week. So maybe starting next week, we can go back to try to catch up on some Ring of Honor stuff again.
keep in mind, we were also talking about doing the Christopher Nolan versus uh, Zack Snyder universe too.
Yeah, we were, but I'm talking about as far as like pro
Wrestling goes.
wrestling.
Yeah.
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 So
And I wouldn't mind getting back to doing, a couple of those shows too. Doing our normal up to date one, then maybe doing a retro one and also doing our pop culture. What are we doing on that one? We didn't even talk about that for next
yeah,
week.
we didn't. We'll have to figure it out.
All right. Sounds good to me.
All right, so that's all we got. We'll try to do better next time. This is Shane saying long days, pleasant nights, and Jeff saying
Goodbye.